What's up, Qui-Gons? Trevin's back. I hope you enjoyed our intro there to our heroic edition weekly recap. Not so much weekly, more been bi-weekly, but either way, it's the heroic edition. We're super stoked about that. Lots to talk about, so let's get back into it. Before we get into the heroic raids, a bit of sad news. One of our longtime original Qui-Gon members, Force Kenobi, has retired. We're sad to see him go. He will still be stopping by chat, so we're happy about that. I've often said that this community extends beyond the game, at least for me. If Force has a little bit of a situation on there, the airport that he lives at, they're going to start requiring a password to their Wi-Fi, which they only give to you when you buy a ticket, not when you just live there. So he'll no longer be able to play the game. But all the sushi and jambalaya he can find in the trash he can eat. But in honor of Force Kenobi, we're going to do one of his favorites here. We're going to load up an Ewok battle for him. If you don't know, Force, he's a big fan of the Ewoks. Um, Shout out to Force for sticking around through the heroic raid while we did our first one, waiting for us to find a replacement on there. Um, I think that's just kind of the person that he is and the kind of community that we have. All right, on to the good news. So we beat the heroic Sith raid. Huzzah! It was close. It was tight. 1 hour remaining on there on our first attempt. Lots of time spent doing retreats and battles and getting the good RNG and everything like that. It's going to get easier and easier every single raid. We did something very similar with the heroic AAT. I think we had 1 or 2 hours left on that. People were raiding all day long. I want you guys to remember something. You won't, but I want, but it's still my request. When the next raid comes out, you say, "Why aren't we doing the heroic raid?" Etc., etc. Trust in your officers; they know what's going on. 1 hour remaining on this raid, 1 or 2 hours remaining on our first heroic AAT. We know what we're doing on that. All right. I know everyone's anxious to get those heroic rewards. Not so much the first one, but now that we got our second one and they reverted them, much, much nicer. But trust in your officers. So shout out to all you guys, everyone that put in the work, that geared the characters, the teams that we set up. Just went with the RNG, got those big runs, practiced, everything like that. We really appreciate it. We do it as a group. No one person can do it alone. Not yet, anyway. It'll get to that point where we're soloing the Heroic Sith Raid, just like the Rancor and the AAT on there. I want to give a big shout out to the officers. I think most of you guys understand a lot of the work that goes into that, but you might not know the whole thing. I personally, I'll admit, I don't thank the officers as much as I should, um, because these guys are so good that sometimes it's easy just to take for granted what they do. You don't even have to ask them; they're on it. Jay Dollars is putting out the numbers. He's going through and doing all the team comps. That's why we asked all you guys to get on as and Swugga, as Cubs fan says. Swugga. I like that. Making spreadsheets. Bones is working with that. They're editing Google Docs. We brought on Clintos. Clintos has been huge in the raid comps, everything like that. So yeah, give a big shout out to your officers. They don't get enough thanks. Their pay sucks, but at least they can get some thanks on there. If you want to know what it means to be an officer, look at Bones. That first raid, getting his 10.2% run with JTR and spending 3 hours doing it. So not only do you have all the work that goes into it to begin with, then you get to raid the whole time too. So it's like being management and the grunts all at the same time. It's all worth it though. I think they think the same way. Otherwise, they still wouldn't do it because again, the pay does suck on there. But we do it for you guys in there. All right, this Ewok battle should make Force happy. Force isn't really that big of a Ewok fan, so if he's watching, I hope he enjoyed that on there. So the raid will continue to get easier and easier as we go through. We saw it was quite a bit easier this time, although we still stalled out. We didn't beat it with much time remaining, but it wasn't that mad dash like what the first one is. What I would warn, what I would caution everyone is we're not at that point yet where you can just sit back and I'm going to take a 0 or I'm not going to do much on this raid. We still need your participation on there. We will get to that point where you can take zeros. We'll start doing the 24-hour cooldown, everything like that. But don't take it for granted yet. We're not out of the woods. We're not out of the danger zone yet on there. So keep raiding hard. And I hope you enjoy doing the raid, because with the rewards, with them reverted back, and with them not being permanent, we're going to be running as many of these raids as possible on there so we can take advantage of these rewards. I got 4 full drops from the first one. I saw tons of drops posted in chat. So yeah, we're going to keep doing these, because if compared them to those other drops we got, it's not even a close comparison on there. One thing I will say on the raid is when we were doing the tier 6, everyone had their teams to practice and everything like that, and I think we really saw who practiced their teams and who didn't when it came to that first Heroic Sith raid, particularly with the Phase 3 Chex Mix team. So a lot of the teams, it wasn't a great practice for Tier 6 for Heroic. Like if you look at JTR, Nihilus just hit so hard, everything like that. Like you still need to know how the team comp went, but your Phase 6 strategy wasn't going to work on there. When it comes to Phase 2, we're running Death Trooper with our troopers, everything like that, because we don't have to save them for Phase 3. When it came to Phase 3, that strategy as it was in the Tier 6 was really the exact same. You mixed up your speeds a little bit, but it was stand alone with Han, get offense up. It was the exact same strategy. So we saw who had been working on that team and who hadn't been working on that first one on there. So that was just, if the next raid that comes out, just remember when we give you those teams, practice, practice, practice. It will make your life a lot easier. And I hope the RNG starts going out in everyone's way and it gets just easier and easier every single time on there. So outside of the Heroic raid, which is really exciting news, super stoked about that. So I don't have to raid 5 battles a day anymore or anything like that. A lot going on in the game. We didn't talk about this last time, but they announced the Bounty Hunter rework on there. That's exciting, but not because of the Bounty Hunter rework. I be honest, I don't really care about bounty hunters. I'm excited because, one, it's another faction that is usable. I like more usable factions, more options, more good characters in the game. But two, that means some other stuff is coming. It's nice to have a usable faction, especially since they're useful in the raid, or they should be. They get bonuses. I think that was always their plan, that they were going to be reworking those. On bounty hunters, I don't personally understand the love for the bounty hunters in the Star Wars universe. What have they done? So we'll say that most Star Wars fans go by the movies. I think Clone Wars was popular. Rebels is becoming more popular. People are, hearing that was a good show, things like that. But the Boba Fett love, for instance, I don't really understand. And the Bosk love, like, why do people like Bosk so much? Because he's a lizard? Because he's tough? I don't really get it. Like, it wasn't really in the movies. We see a lot of Aura Singh love. I mean, I could understand Embo love. Embo is just basically a ripoff of Kung Lao, and Mortal Kombat's awesome. That'll probably rile up a few people in there. But when you look at Boba in the movies, he basically did nothing, and then he died. And, I mean, dying's a thing. Everybody dies, but the dude literally had a jetpack, and he died from a fall. Like, he has a jetpack. Doesn't make any sense. So I've never understood kind of the obsession with Boba Fett on there. I know Yub's a big fan, and whatever. Yub loves Ewoks too, so what are you gonna do? Alright, but the good news is on that is that's another rework out of the way. And what I've been saying is that a droid rework is coming. No evidence of that. Don't take my word on that. That is just out of the blue. I think that's coming, and so they announced recently. Somebody asked about the General Grievous rework. That's another one for you, Force. And they said when they rework Separatists, on there, which is another rework people have been looking for. Separatists are actually kind of a cool faction. They don't have that many characters, but they're a cool faction. Anything with Dooku in it is a cool faction. Shout out to Blee. On there, if General Grievous gets a rework, that means droids are probably going to get a rework. Why not rework the Separatists and the droids at the same time on there? My prediction is that we're going to see Darth Revan in the game. Revan, I always forget which one it is. I asked Brad in text one time, but I forget what he said. We're going to see him in the game. That soon, fairly soon, that's going to be our droid rework. That's my prediction on there. So, which leads us into the next thing. Now that we're getting Traya shards, Traya's going to be dominant on there. She's going to be absolutely dominant. She's going to be the meta. And we've talked before about how Rex is the anti-meta, everything like that, through the EP's Sith-led teams, through the Maul, the Zal teams on there. I don't know if he's going to be able to cut it with this one, at least with the way the characters are now. Now, I think there'll be characters come out to balance the meta. There always is. But I think Trey is going to dominate for a while there. So I would strongly, strongly recommend get your Sith up to gear on there and start, once you can, start hoarding gear for Traya. If you're someone that always feels like you have to chase the meta and you're never on top of it, this is your chance. Hoard your gear so when you unlock Traya, you can stick her right in and start leveling your Sith. Put aside all your little side farms, hey, I think Phoenix is going to be cool, things like that. I would say even we can beat the raid. Obviously, we want to beat the raid easier. But I'm going to Zeta Sabine, and I'm going to gear up Sabine, and I'm going to gear Phoenix, and I'm going to do this in Phase 2 and all that stuff like that. That's all cool on there. But Arena is kind of your biggest individual thing, and Treya's coming, and it's going to be a big deal. You're going to want to have her. And don't chase the meta. Don't be left out in the cold. This is your chance to be in front of the meta. Anyone who didn't hoard gear for Kenobi and had to go through a 2-month-long grind to gear him up, I think knows what I'm talking about, and hopefully will correct that this time and be on top of that. But where the segue there between Revan and Traya is my prediction, and again, this is just off the top of my head, but my prediction is that Revan is going to be who takes out the Traya meta on there, and with Revan we will see the heralded droid rework that everyone has been waiting for, because that's a faction that we all sorely miss. If you're a long-term Qui-Gon, chances are you've got pretty good droids on there, because we were a pretty heavy droid-heavy guild. So that's my personal prediction. We've got a droid rework coming. It's going to come along with Revan. You'll see a Separatist rework around the same time on there, and that Revan will end the Traya meta. If I'm wrong, that's a whole big prediction. You can't hold it against me. But if I'm right, I'm going to comment on it every chance I get. I'm not going to let you forget about it. All right, let's wrap this up. So again, heroic raid now. It's not on farm yet. We're not doing 24 hours, anything like that. You can't just post a 0. Keep battling on there. But seriously, congratulations, guys. We do this every time. We're not that guild. We're not a super guild. We don't go through and we don't pull people and boot people based on their rosters, because you don't have Death Trooper, because you don't have JTR, things like that other guilds were doing. We're not the guild that's just going to be heroic, whatever the heroic, the first day that it comes out, like some. We're never going to be that guild. And we're never going to be the guild that's booting people because they don't have the proper roster. We're never even going to be the guild that, says people can't farm Ewoks because they're pointless, because we've got people that have done that. And I hate this battle. Absolutely hate this battle. I used to be able to beat it, and then I think just my hatred for it just clouds my judgment on there, and I just auto it numerous times. But again and again, we come through. We don't boot members for rosters. We're pretty serious on there. But we also have that casual side, and again, we continue to succeed on there, which is just a testament to all of you guys, a testament to the officers, and then all the work that you guys put in strategizing, gearing characters, everything like that. We're about top 200 in the Sith raid. We're one of the lowest GPs to beat the raid. That's something I take a lot of pride in on there, because you can't strategize, you can't teach spending money or being a long-term player or things like that, but you can teach gearing the right teams. You can teach strategies of how to use those teams, things like that, and you can teach what comps to use. So that's something I always take pride in. We're not the strongest guild, but yeah, we still hold our own because we're the best guild. All right. So again, huge congratulations to everyone. I hope you enjoy all those rewards. Get your Sith up to par. Start hoarding for Treya. Your your arena is going to thank me later, because you're going to start seeing it in your arena, and she's going to be probably your best counter on there. Again, huge congratulations on the heroic Sith. All right, see you next week or 2 weeks or whenever. Thanks, guys.